I'll bet you've thought about how much income you'll need to support your retirement lifestyle. But have you ever thought about how that income will show up on your tax return? Maybe that sounds like a strange question. I mean, you've been paying taxes for years, right? Yes, but retirement is a whole different ballgame. You'll see a big difference in how and when you're taxed. And that shift can come with some unpleasant surprises if you're not ready for it. Welcome back. And if we haven't met, I'm Keith Demetriades, a financial advisor based in Pampa, Texas. Today, we're going to walk through 3 key questions about taking income in retirement. And I'll show you a withdrawal strategy to help you make smarter, more tax-aware decisions. I've also got a free retirement income blueprint linked in the description for you. So make sure to grab it because you'll also want that information. Now let's get into it. First off, does it really matter how you take your retirement income? Yes, it definitely matters. A lot more than most people think because not all retirement income is treated the same way. Where you pull from, whether it's a taxable brokerage account, a traditional IRA, or a Roth, can lead to very different tax results. And those decisions can have both short and long-term consequences. In the short term, pulling from the wrong account could push your income into a higher tax bracket or increase how much of your Social Security gets taxed. In the long term, it can raise your Medicare premiums or limit your flexibility once required minimum distributions begin. Here's why. The IRS doesn't look at why you're taking the income. It only looks at how much shows up on your tax return. Once that number crosses a certain threshold, the penalties kick in. So you can feel like you're playing by the rules and still get dinged. Know what I mean? Hit the thumbs up if you've ever felt like doing the right thing still came at a cost. Let's talk about how this can happen. Here's an example. I worked with a couple who had just over $2 million between their IRA and a joint brokerage account. Their plan was to wait until RMDs started to touch the IRA, which on the surface made sense. They didn't need the income yet, and they assumed it was best to defer the taxes as long as possible. But when we modeled it out, those RMDs would push them from the 22% tax bracket all the way into the 32% tax bracket, practically overnight. And it would have increased their Medicare premiums by over $4,000 a year. That would have been a high price to pay for what seemed like a simple decision. So we adjusted their plan and started smaller IRA withdrawals earlier to spread out the tax hit. That small change made a big impact. So yes, the order you take income from your accounts makes a real difference. Okay, second, what is the most effective withdrawal strategy? Well, the details can differ from person to person, but this general strategy works for most retirees. Start with your taxable accounts, then move to your tax-deferred accounts like IRAs or 401ks, and then take your Roth withdrawals last. Here's why. You start with taxable brokerage accounts because the money in them has already been taxed. You'll only owe capital gains on the growth, and early in retirement, you may be in a low enough tax bracket that those gains are taxed minimally, or not at all. Using taxable dollars first also gives your tax-advantaged accounts more time to grow. That's a good thing. Next come your tax-deferred accounts, your traditional IRAs and your 401ks. Since withdrawals are taxed as ordinary income, you want to be strategic about when and how much you take. I'm also going to mention that this second phase is where Roth conversions can make a lot of sense. I'm not talking about spending from your Roth IRA yet. You want to save those withdrawals for last. I'm talking about building the Roth IRA while your income is lower. Early retirement, say your 60s to early 70s, can be the best time to shift some of those tax-deferred dollars over to the Roth. Why? Because you're locking in a known tax rate now and shrinking the amount the IRS will force you to take out later through RMDs. Once your other income sources are in play, you want to do Roth distributions last because withdrawals are tax-free and don't count as income for things like Medicare or Social Security thresholds. That flexibility can make a big difference in your 70s and your 80s, especially when you're trying to manage around fixed income sources. Roth income can be incredibly useful. I think this sequencing idea makes even more sense If you think of retirement in 3 stages, in your 60s, you're shifting from saving to spending. That can be hard for a lot of people. You might feel stressed about these decisions, pulling from taxable accounts, thinking about Roth conversions, and trying to keep your income in a reasonable bracket. It's all unfamiliar territory for most people. So understanding the why of timing your withdrawals really helps. Then in your 70s, you'll find more of this sequence is being dictated for you. So your decisions come with a few more rules. That's because required minimum distributions have started. Social Security is fully in play, and Medicare is part of your income picture. The focus here is on staying coordinated, making sure your withdrawals, your benefits, and taxes are all working together. In your 80s and beyond, most of the big planning decisions are behind you. Income is steady, RMDs are routine, and you've likely preserved some flexibility with tax-free accounts. You can use that flexibility to simplify things for yourself and anyone who might need to step in behind you. So you really do see the long-term effects of having a good plan. You can use that flexibility to simplify things for yourself and anyone who might need to step in behind you. So you really do see the long-term effects of having a good plan. I'm telling you all this because this withdrawal sequence, taxable, then tax deferred, and then Roth accounts, tends to sync up with life for most people. You want the withdrawals to fit your stage. What stage are you in? Are you shifting, coordinating, or simplifying? Let me know in the comments. I also want to mention that while this sequence is a great framework, you always want to keep your mindset flexible and stay focused on your goals. I do regular reviews with my clients because we might have to adjust from year to year to stay on track. So that brings us to the third and final question. What happens if I withdraw from my accounts in the wrong order? The short answer is you might still meet your income needs, but you'll probably do it with more tax drag as time goes on, which could mean fewer options and a little more stress. Who wants that? For example, let's say you start with your traditional IRA right out of the gate. It might feel like the easiest move, especially if it's your largest account. But that decision can raise your taxable income early in retirement, pushing you into a higher tax bracket, increasing your Medicare premiums, and causing more of your Social Security to be taxed. Not what you're looking for. Now flip it. If you pull from your Roth too soon, you lose one of the most valuable tools you have later in retirement. Roth income is tax-free. It doesn't count toward Medicare or Social Security thresholds, and it gives you flexibility when other sources are locked in. So yes, you can go to your Roth early, but it's not the most effective use of your resources. Look, you didn't work hard to save all this time just to fumble when it comes to spending. You want to reap those rewards. Remember, you've got options, but they're only effective if you've thought through how and when to use them. If you want to take a closer look at how all of this fits together, tax brackets, RMDs, Roth timing, don't forget to grab that retirement income blueprint linked in the description. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Keith Demetriades, and if you found this helpful, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe for more on retirement planning, tax strategy, and using your money wisely. Be a savvy steward. Make your life count.